Once it connects. Okay.
Oh, my goodness.
All right, sweet.
So I'd woken up from a nap. That's why I was a bit late. So
oh no, that's all right. Well, I hope you had a. I hope you're. Are you? How are you feeling? I'm sorry that I woke you up then.
No, I'm feeling good. No, I instantly, my brain woke up like, oh my God, it's almost 8 o'clock. But
Yeah.
I feel great.
Okay.
I'm here, energized.
All right, glad to hear it.
One Piece.
Okay, glad to hear it. I think they all caught you saying that we're live. So they all. So okay. Hello, my nakamatachi. This is JoyGirl, and we're back with another Let's Talk Wano episode. And we've got a special collab. We've got the Don himself, you know, the future Hall of Famer, the embodiment of an agenda. We've got JD Legend. How are you feeling?
I mean, I'm feeling great. The intro was fantastic. You know, the agendas. I've been trying to get better with them. So I hope everyone cuts me some slack. But, you know, I can't change who I am. I am who I am.
Yeah. That's actually something that I was going to ask you. We've got someone here saying, like, the fraud is here. Where did JD fraud come from?
So I have this bad habit of finding one word that I really like saying and repeating it over and over again. So I started calling everybody a fraud in my chat as a joke. And when you know how I am. So if I get caught in any of my agendas and then I change my opinion, they'll call me a fraud.
Okay.
And it just carried on. So it's never stopped. This was like a year ago.
Yeah.
So it's my fault. It's completely my fault.
Okay, JD. Okay, I was gonna say it was always like bothering me, and they got Fraudy Legend here as well. But hey, you've got Fable. He's backing you up. You're not a fraud. You're a nice boy. That's really sweet of you, Fable.
I appreciate Fable. He's a good guy.
Yeah. So I was just telling. So Jay and I were just talking just before we went live, and I was asking him about the move. But how's it all been?
The move's been good. I think just from a YouTube perspective, I guess it's been tough because, you know, I'm pretty sure you understand when you're kind of in a rhythm with making videos, topic ideas, thumbnails. Yeah. It's like really easy to make content. But once you like take a break, it's so hard to step back in. Like it's so hard. So I'm really trying to fight past that barrier of, okay, record a video, make the thumbnail, think about the titles. It was like, man, I don't have to go through that again. So I just need to find a routine. But overall, from a personal perspective, the move's great.
Okay, I'm glad to hear it. That's great. I've never actually taken sort of like an extended break like that. So I haven't really had that feeling of like taking a break and then having to get back into it. So that's it's an interesting perspective. I didn't really think about it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I should also mention, so I know that you do chapter reactions. I do chapter reactions as well. So I have been staying clear of spoilers. I've been actually avoiding social media. I haven't really been looking at the YouTube comments so much because of that. So I just want to remind everyone that this is going to be a spoiler-free stream. So only up to chapter 1021. I hope that works for you too. I mean, I imagine that it does.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so
hopefully, you never know how bad people can bet, but I think the chat normally likes to push a culture of don't spoil or we'll ban you. So I'm pretty sure there's some mods out there already.
Yeah, we got our I can see our mods here, and the Joy Fleet's usually pretty good with spoilers. Never really had any big issues with spoilers, so just wanted to make that clear. You know, if you want our genuine reactions, you know, during the stream, we've got to keep it spoiler free and friendly. So, like I said, this is a Let's Talk Wano episode. But before we start, I have to ask you, what is the hate on Chopper about? What is this?
We have to do this. We have to do this. Man.
You have to explain yourself. You gotta. I don't understand.
So I know the answer I'm gonna give is not. It's not gonna be enough for you. I just want to warn you now.
Okay.
So, you know, I love Chopper. The Drum Island arc is one of the best arcs that I've read in One Piece. Just from an emotional perspective, I'd say like the backstory was great. Hilalu, Korea, all that stuff is great, right? I'm like, oh yeah, Chopper's cool, fine. The moment he steps foot off Drum Island, I start hating him. And I cannot explain to you I don't know whether it's the hat, the voice, the merchandising nature of him. Like, I understand Chopper's an important part of the crew. He's a doctor. I understand people like his character, but I like to tell people this. It's a personal thing. I'm a hater. I like to tell people this. There's no logical reason behind my hatred for Chopper. I shouldn't, but I do. I think I try to tell people just accept it. They never listen, so I never explain myself. So what's the point?
All right. I mean, I think I don't even know what to say to that. Like, I think. I mean, I'm sorry that I put you there on the hot seat. I'm sorry that I made you explain something that you don't really like have an explanation for. But I think the fact that you're saying like you don't really have a logical explanation like makes it a bit better, I guess. I mean, I've never really seen someone just outright admit that they're a hater. So you know, you got that. I respect it.
It's the only way I feel comfortable with it. Because everyone else accepts it. Every time I say it, I'm like, okay, I don't know what to say.
I mean, well, if it makes you feel better, so we had Laffy Traffy on a few weeks ago as well. And Laffy actually told me that she's on your side and that she's not a huge fan of Chopper. So it seems like your Chopper hate agenda is working.
Oh, it's definitely working. I mean, there's quite a few people that don't like Chopper, but I'd say the problem with Chopper actually started in post-time skip, where he became more of a cutesy background character. And I understand that's fine, and that happened to all the Straw Hats, but I think Chopper or Robin probably suffered the most.
Yeah.
To be honest. So I would say this Chopper moment we got with Caesar, I don't want to jump into Wano too early, but Chopper moment we got with Caesar is kind of something people have been waiting for a long time from Chopper, you know. So it's tough, but I guess from my standpoint, it's just irrational, and then I have things that I can justify.
Yeah, okay. All right, I mean, yeah, fair enough. Okay, well, we got that out of the way then. I mean, I should have gotten you to, I don't know where they are. I should have made you look into Chopper's face as you said that. Look deep into his eyes. Oh. But, so, and hey, we've got Randy in here as well, and Randy just says that Chrissy agreed with Jay, so, you know, there you go.
See, thank you, Randy.
But Chrissy's also, just to let you know, I thought Chrissy is like Chopper. Okay, I don't want to spoil anything, but Chopper is at the top of Chrissy's Straw Hats favorites. And actually, on that point, okay, good. I feel like I need to like now ask: do you have like, is this something that you feel with other Straw Hats as well? Actually, good question. Is knowing that Sanji's your man, how does Zoro rank?
So, ironically enough, this is something I mean, I'm the one to blame, but Zoro has always been one of my favorite Straw Hats. You know, early on, especially pre-time skip, Zoro fights are my favorite thing ever. I still like Zoro. My problem has actually never been with Zoro. It's only been with Zoro stands. And that's it. And a lot of people don't believe that. If you look at all my Zoro videos, they're mainly positive, talking about what's good about him. But my problem with Zoro, not really Zoro, but it's the Zoro stands, is that every time he has a moment, every time something happens, we blow it out of proportion instead of just enjoying what it is, which is really good stuff. But all of a sudden, it's, he's as strong as Luffy. He's killing the main villain. And I understand there's credence to it, but we just go too far every time. And I mean, again, I've let that happen. This is just how the community will be. So I try not to stress about it too much, but
no, that's I think
don't hate Zoro.
Yeah, no, that's a fair answer, I think, because you know, I think personally, I don't think it's I find it like physically impossible to choose between the two, like almost as, you know, physically impossible as it is for Sanji to like hurt a woman. I just can't choose between the two. But I think I know what you mean. Like personally, especially, it's something that was lost on me when I was catching up on One Piece. But once I caught up and once I was on like doing YouTube and getting more, I guess, ingrained into like the One Piece community that's online, I started realizing that there is like this very like vocal, I guess, community and like the rivalry between the fandoms, which has been interesting. Because that was not something that I was used to, I guess, reading. I just didn't know that that would be like a sentiment people have, because when I just watch and when I just read the series, it's just like, it's just great. You know, there's so much to love about both of them. I'm just gonna, okay, so we had a few super chats, so I'm just gonna say, so Big Mac says, JoyGirl, do you think you can give a shout out to Sweet Commander Carly? And of course, yeah, I didn't know that Sweet Commander Carly was here in the chat. I don't know if she is, but yeah, definitely a big shout out to Sweet Commander Carly. I was actually waiting because she told us that there was gonna be a video out in early August. Has that come out? Because last time I checked, I didn't see it, and I'm very excited to see it. So everyone, if you haven't already checked out Sweet Commander Carly's channel, you know, make sure to check her channel out. Always great to have new like One Piece content creators with us. And so Paul, okay. And Walmart is on this, it says, same here but with Sanji. I like Sanji, but I can't stand Sanji stands either.
See, I won't even dispute that just because I will say this. I want to admit this openly. Sanji stands are very defensive. Very, very defensive. You attack Sanji, we get all riled up and we try to, I don't know. It's bad between both sides, so I don't want to just say, oh, it's the Zoro stand, because that's the toxic part, when one part doesn't acknowledge the other.
Yeah.
Sanji fans are very defensive and they start making things up or trying to find little cracks in people's armors to make things more bad than they actually are, because Sanji has this view that he's always, being at the end of Oda's stick, basically, getting beat by Oda's stick all the time. And I'm assuming we're going to talk about that later.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I agree. I think it's like, the problem becomes, when it gets like toxic, right? Obviously you can have like your favorites, but there's no need to like take it out of like what it is. So fair enough. Okay, so that's a lot more, that's a very like measured, that's like, they've been all like very measured responses. The fact that like, you're known like as a big Sanji stan, I was expecting things like a lot more like coming out with, how can you call yourself the embodiment of an agenda? These are all very logical responses.
Well, here's the thing. People, I do, this is what I do, right? People just think because I have agendas that they don't think I can also be rational and fair. You just catch me in the moment. Reactions are for your first instinct. It just so happens my first instinct is incredulous behavior. And then give me some time, I'll settle down a little bit and I'll give you a rational. That's me.
All right. I mean, you see, again, very fair. I love it. I can respect that. So, well then, I think you were saying before that, okay, so moving on from Chopper though, the fact that Chopper and Robin suffered quite a lot after the time skip, I guess it's a good time now to ask you then, like, what you've been thinking about the recent Wano chapters, like the recent things that's been happening on the raid on Onigashima.
I would say the chapter with Robin, I think the chapters with Robin have been really good. I think she's needed those moments for a very, very long time. So I'm just happy to see my queen because she's my favorite. She's my favorite female Straw Hat. Like, I know Nami's awesome. I know people will say Nami's a better character. That's fine. For me, it's just personal. Like, I was attached to Robin, the whole horror backstory, all of that. So seeing her come back into light, and then Oda, I think the callback to Saul, Clover and her mom, and Black Maria, it pulled on the heartstrings again. It made you realize what Robin had went through. And you kind of just see Robin as only the Straw Hat, but you don't think about the O'Hara Robin as well. I think Oda did a good job kind of reminding us who Robin is and her background. Yeah. And then when you tie the Sanji thing in together and you see how much it meant for someone to genuinely rely on her staying rather than rely on her leaving, I think that was a nice twist, and it just goes to show the development that Robin has gone through. So it was just a great moment in general, just for Robin in particular. Yeah. And the Chopper moment as well. Granted, my feelings about Chopper. One thing that I've always been frustrated with is you never really get to see the background work that Chopper does. You don't really get, with Luffy, you get a Rayleigh flashback or a Hyogoro flashback. With Chopper, you don't see him harping back to the times where he had to improve his doctor skills. So you just kind of assume that he does these things and makes viruses and antibodies off screen. I think with the Rumble Ball, seeing his interaction with Caesar and seeing that there's side effects here, or there's someone who's been a doctor who's actually at a higher professional level than Chopper is, proves that, hey, you can improve this part of your doctoring skills or your knowledge of these chemicals and you can get stronger. And I think Chopper going through that interaction with Caesar kind of just adds more depth to him, because now you have a line between Chopper and Caesar that was deeper than just what we saw in Zoe, what we saw in Whole Cake. Yeah. So I really like that moment with Gastino, like Randy Joyce says in Chopper.
I missed what Randy said. I've got that Gastino up yet. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I agree with you that Robin personally is like my best girl as well. I mean, I love Nami, but I think it's easier to find like best girl between Nami and Robin than it is for me to choose between like Zoro and Sanji. So Robin moments have been great, and I have to confess that when I was reading the chapter, so people who are watching the reaction stream would know that I got tricked and I thought that Robin got fooled, and I was like, oh my goodness, like no Robin, like I was so upset, and then I was like, oh of course, yes, like of course Robin is smart enough. Like why did I ever like doubt her? You know, shame on me for doubting that Robin wouldn't have seen through Black Maria's tricks. So I love that, like I love that moment. I think, like you say, you know, it's something that we've been wanting from Robin for a while. Randy was there during that stream, and he told me that was like 18 years, like over 18 years. That's crazy. I don't know. Actually, like when did you start watching or reading One Piece? Like, is it something that you've been doing for a while?
So I've rewatched One Piece 4 times in my life. I started watching One Piece when it was on WB Kids 17. So I don't know if you remember that dub with the Jersey Shanti and the lollipop. Do you remember that?
Yeah, okay. Oh, so we call it, so we know it as 4Kids here.
Oh, 4Kids. I don't know why I said WB. It's 4Kids.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
4Kids dub.
Yeah.
That's how I started One Piece.
Right.
So you can imagine how far back that was.
Yeah.
I was like 13 or something. And then I started watching it on watchop.com when I was like 15, 16. I'm 28 now.
Okay.
So I've been like following One Piece for 13 years. It's been like, well, honestly 15, but I say 13 because I was actually trying to catch up to them. So it's been a while. I won't lie. One Piece is like very deep, and then when you rewatch it a bunch of times, things you just never forget certain things.
Yeah, for sure. It gets like, and it means so. Like whenever, I'm sure like you would know, you know, better than I do. The more that you watch it, like the more things you pick up, and it like has a different meaning each time. There's like so many different layers to it. So like I can't see someone like for like you who has actually been there waiting like week by week. Like it's a very different experience for me because I only actually caught up in Wano. I only started watching One Piece in like maybe 2 years ago now. It'll be almost 2 years now. And then I caught up when the pandemic started. I like caught up the chapter that I caught up on was when the Supernova trio shows up just before the raid starts. And you know, Luffy's like, you know, that moment when they all come in with the cloaks, and you know, at sea, you know, you deal with pirates, you fight against pirates. So for me, like even having, you know, consumed it in such a short amount of time, I've been like waiting, like, oh my goodness, when are we getting these moments from the Straw Hats? So I can't imagine what it'd be like for people like you, like, you know, for like people like Randy, and for like, you know, I'm sure many others like in the chat who have just been like waiting for so long. And I think that also makes me understand like your feelings, I guess, about like Chopper, you know, when we see, because that was what Luffy said as well, that, you know, like the problem isn't really necessarily with Chopper himself, although I mean you're a bit like on the fence with that one, but like it's more about how he's been used. Yeah. But it's more like, you know, the fact that we haven't like seen him like he hasn't been utilized as much after the time skip.
Yeah, I mean, ironically, that was an effect I had with Sanji as well. I think Sanji has these moments where he's kind of just being the other side of Sanji, which is the goofy, I'm gonna get trapped by women, I get slapped around by women. He has that stretch where he doesn't do anything that's Mr. Prince-ish. Yeah. I'm not gonna say that word again, but you know what I'm saying. All those cool moments, you know, the Sky Pia moment, Ennis Lobby, all that other stuff. It's not many times you get that. So I think with Chopper, it's even worse because from the post time skip, you didn't really get anything that you're looking for. Robin was actually the worst of all. He just didn't get any of it. Like, so it's tough. And then when you spend like, remember Grand Line's Dressrosa video, and then reading Dressrosa week to week. Imagine being before Dressrosa and still waiting for these moments, and then getting through Dressrosa, and there's a lot of frustration that's built up. You try to stay patient, but sometimes it's hard, especially when you see a chapter where they're actually regressing before your very eyes after you've been waiting. It's kind of just like, oh, it's never coming. You have that fear, so it's tough.
Yeah, I mean, actually, speaking of like on that point, then, so like I said, I wasn't caught up during like all the previous arcs. So I wasn't around when Whole Cake Island was, you know, was going on in real time. So how did you actually feel about Whole Cake Island in that case? And how did you feel about Sanji's role in Whole Cake Island? I know that it was, I think Oda commented that it was supposed to be, I think it was like 2016 was supposed to be the year of Sanji. So I know that there was a lot of hype about that, and then, you know, after what we got, like a lot of people were like disappointed. So what did you feel as a Sanji stan?
I think it's funny because people think that I'm a Sanji stan. They think I wouldn't like Whole Cake. I actually liked Whole Cake a lot. Like, I really, really liked it a lot. Mainly because Sanji's backstory, it hit really hard for me. The thing with Zeph was tough. But I think seeing what he went through with his brothers, with Judge, with his mother, and the rejection that he had to face as a child, you realize that Sanji had issues way earlier on, before Zeph. Like, he had real severe issues. Like, the things he went through are no joke. And then to see them kind of harped upon again by seeing the Vinsmokes again, it like explains why he had to go back anyway. It also explains that what Pudding did to him was probably the worst thing that could have ever happened to him. You know, and I think the emotional part of Sanji, I was glued to the manga screen, not the television, but I was glued, and I was like, this is everything I've been looking for just for Sanji's character, because it makes his character so much deeper. I think the only problem is that when people heard Year of Sanji, they were thinking they got Year of Mr. Prince. It's not Year of Mr. Prince, it's Year of Sanji. So you had to take the character, and then he never really got the big fight everyone was hoping for, because it's his arc. So people were disappointed there. And I didn't feel that way personally. I liked Whole Cake. I thought Whole Cake was good. You know, I would give it maybe a 7.5 out of 10 if I were to give it a numerical value.
All right.
But yeah, no, Whole Cake was good.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
It was after Whole Cake. That's when I started getting angry.
Oh, okay. Right. Okay. Okay. Actually, I was gonna just ask. I know that Randy's in the chat, so hey, because Randy's also a Sanji stan. Would have been good actually to have like both Sanji stans in. I'll have to figure out how to do like multiple people. It's been it's been hard for me trying to figure out how to just do like one other person on a collab. But I actually wanted to know what Randy's thoughts on Whole Cake Island was. I didn't actually get to ask you when I did the stream with you, Randy. So you should let us know in the chat, and I'll try to find it. But also then, in that case, so with your feelings about Sanji in Wano, I know that you had grievances about what happened in like chapter 1005, you know, what happened between like Sanji and the whole Black Maria. I watched the collab that you did with Ohara when you guys discussed, you know, what that meant, you know, for Sanji, you know, how that could have been more to do with like his character development. And I saw that you were like sort of coming around after what we got in chapter, I think 1020. Has your grievances, like, has that all been resolved now for you personally?
I think the moment of letting Robin come save him and him relying on Robin was good. And I see the purpose in it, so I understood. And I also conceded publicly to Ohara, okay, you were right about the situation. However, my issue has always been what happened to Sanji in the situation, him getting caught, and just the abuse. Like, it was 2 chapters. Like, people forget, like, it was the end of 114 and the beginning of 1015. And I was like, why is Sanji getting beat to a pulp with brass knuckles and not using Armanaki? Why is this happening? Yeah. You know, as a Sanji stan, you get sad. Like, it's like, imagine if it was Chopper instead of Sanji. I'm pretty sure people would be upset, right? No one wants to see Chopper get beat with brass knuckles. So I was just sad about that. And I guess you lose the anger because you realize, okay, it birthed a really good moment and Sanji's getting redeemed and Robin's praising him. But again, it was only the moment. It was the moment that really hurt me. And then I think I slowly got better. And now I'm good. I think I'm fine.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, I think that makes a lot of sense. Sorry, I think my phone's going. Hopefully that doesn't keep... I think I've got an alarm or a call or something. Anyways, so I think, because I read like a few people, because obviously in that chapter also, you know, Robin also said that like Sanji is, you know, one of the wings that will help, you know, Luffy become Pirate King. And so when I did a video about that, trying to explain that in terms of like Sanji's moments, and like Sanji's like development, I did see a lot of like a few people say and comment that it's not necessarily like that Sanji called on Robin for help that a lot of people were upset about. It's like I think the biggest thing was not even the fact that he was getting hit by like the brass knuckles, but like he had been caught, he had escaped, and then he had been like, and then obviously he got captured again. And I think that didn't sit well with a lot of people, which is like, I understand that point now, because I didn't really see it that way when I was reading it. Like, it was just, like, even what you say about, like, why he wasn't using armament haki, I guess my understanding of Sanji's character has always just been, like, you know, this is just, like, especially what you said after what we know about his backstory, like, he just cannot bring himself to, like, physically do anything against, like, when a woman's involved. So like my I guess like justification or like my understanding and interpretation when I saw that he had gotten caught again was, oh, okay, yep, this is Oda showing us that Sanji is physically capable. He is obviously physically able to, like, you know, escape. He's able to obviously fight Black Maria if he wanted to, but he can't, like, and that's just, you know, because of his code. It's more of a internal thing than a physical thing. And I, like, for him getting caught again, I just always understood it as, okay, he must have escaped, and then maybe another like a woman like blocked his path, and he was like, oh well, okay, crap, shoot, okay, here I go again, then guess I'm just gonna get caught. And I guess that's just how, like, I understood it. But I see what you mean, because I know that I understand what you mean. Like, you know, it just hurts as a stan, like watching someone, you know, watching your favorite character just get beat upon.
I think you bring up a good point, because people were saying Sanji could have put the raid suit on, gone invisible. He could have ran away, literally, and we know he could have escaped. It's just in his capabilities to do so. But it seemed like Oda was dead set on Sanji has to be captured. He has to get beat on, and he has to cry for Robin's help, because we want this moment. We want Robin to be relied upon in a moment of desperation. I guess that's what Oda was going for. And I think Sanji fans are thinking, why does it always have to be Sanji? Because Sanji gets caught in these moments quite a bit. With the nosebleeds, with what happened with Viola. He got caught because of Viola and being swindled by a woman. And then you have the pudding thing. And it's just like, oh my God. Sanji's always in these moments where he's embarrassing himself in one way or another, and then we got to have a whole redemption arc again. And sometimes he wasn't even getting redeemed because they didn't have the great Sanji moment. So you think Dressrosa, sure, he says Viola, okay, that's cool. Then he sees Doflamingo, and Doflamingo one-shots him, and everyone's like, it's an L. And you know how people behave.
Yeah.
So it's like, people are waiting for the big triumphant Sanji moment, because we all remember those moments. Those are the ones where everyone's a Sanji fan. Like, it's no longer Zoro stands versus Sanji stands. It's just, oh, Sanji's great. But we haven't had a moment where everyone can universally be like, oh, Sanji's great, until he kicked Queen. Yeah. When he came in, kicked Queen, and saved Chopper, everyone was like, oh yes. My God, it's Sanji. He's back. Wow. You know, and that's just how people's minds work with Sanji, because yes, we love the polarizing character. Yes, we love the versatility of him. But everyone remembers the big moments with these characters. That's why everyone loves Zoro for nothing happens, because it defines his character. Everyone loves the Luffy moment where he's standing up against Katakuri, or climbing the mountain for Nami and Sanji. All those big Luffy moments, even Nami crying to Arlong, crying about Arlong and stabbing herself. And then Luffy saying, I got you. People remember those moments. People remember, when you think about Sanji, what are the moments that people love to remember? It's not him crying outside for pudding. It's thanks, I needed a light. It's I am the hunter. I just saved Usopp from Jabra. It's Mr. Prince and him kicking the banana crocodile to save everybody. Like, I mean, these moments are glorious moments. So, like, you can't be surprised when people are cheated from those moments, while Zoro gets those moments every other 2 seconds. So everyone's like, yeah, you know, everyone's celebrating, and Sanji there's this bitter in the corner. It's just how Oda writes Sanji. And sometimes it's hard to get through. But when you get it, you feel like it's a reward rather than a common thing.
Yeah, no, I get, like, I understand that completely. I guess just like one thing is, I actually, this might be an unpopular opinion, but I actually kind of love the trope of Sanji, you know, getting beaten up before he fights, because I just find that, you know, it's even more impressive when he gets those wins afterwards. It's very rare that we see, like, Sanji get to fight whilst he's in top form. You know, it's always, you know, it's always whilst after he's like been injured in some way, or after he's been like tired out. So I actually kind of like that, because it's like, so we see Sanji, you know, he's been completely beaten up, but he's still able to perform. So actually, so I love that. And I think also another thing about Sanji is that, like, that's the thing, like all those things that you mentioned, like, you know, like how he has been treated since, like, in, you know, in I guess post time skip. I think that actually like speaks to Sanji's popularity so much more. The fact that Oda can like continuously use him like as the butt of so many jokes, and you know, for someone who doesn't get the same amount of like cool badass moments that, you know, Zoro and like Luffy obviously do, it just astonishes me that how Sanji just remains and continues like to stay so popular. You know, even after like an arc like Fishman Island, you know, where a lot of people obviously have a lot of complaints about how Sanji was used there. That's, you know, sort of where that all started. And even despite that, Sanji is always just after, you know, is always just after Zoro. You know, I think any other character would suffer so much more than what Sanji did. And he's just always, I feel like he's just always like one Luffy or Zoro panel away from being like the best character in One Piece. And it almost feels like if Oda didn't use him for these joke moments, he would just be like way too popular.
That's true. And I think Oda not using him for those joke moments would kind of take away from who he is. And I do accept that. I think, one, the Western audience has more of an issue with how Oda handles Sanji compared to the Japanese audience, because if I'm not mistaken, the Japanese audience loves Sanji. They love the gags and the jokes. You know, you'll find a lot of people are turned off by the, you know, non-respecting woman side of Sanji that people would like to assert. I'm sure you've heard it before. I mean, they talked about it at the Reverie. But I think Sanji being so popular is less about the grandiose feats that I talked about, and it's more about the fact that he seems to be the most, I want to say flamboyant, but it seems like his character is different than everyone else's on the crew. Whereas, so he's this way one way, and then he's this way another way. So I think, you know how people stand out based on their eccentricness? I think it's just that Sanji's so eccentric that there's always going to be people that are tied to someone who's different than everyone else on the crew in a way. So I think, I hope I'm explaining that correctly, but I think that is where we can maintain that Sanji will always be most popular, but it will ebb and flow based on
what's happening,
moments that he gets. So so if there's a lot of gag Sanji, people in the West are going to be like, I don't know about that. People in Japan might be fine. All of a sudden he's fighting Queen. Don't be surprised if his value starts rising again, his popularity starts rising again with better moments.
Yeah, fair enough. Joshua Colomb says Sanji is the most relatable. And I did, like a while ago now, I did, seems like, you know, a sort of a video about how it seems like Sanji might be like Oda's favorite character. And if not maybe just Oda's favorite character, but I said like, it feels like Sanji, if Zoro is like the character that I think everyone wants to be, Sanji is written to be the character that you probably are more like in real life.
Yes.
You know, Zoro's a character that, you know, 100%. Like that you'd want to be, but you're probably more of a Sanji. You know, you're a bit more like, you know, not as, you know, I think it's like, it almost feels like Sanji is like Oda's way of putting himself into the manga.
I can see that. I mean, I hope Oda doesn't really behave with women that way.
I mean, obviously that's an amplified, exaggerated gag, but it's actually funny because Oda married his wife in real life is someone who cosplayed as Nami during I think like a Jump Festa or some sort of con, I think. And yeah, and Randy says it as well, like Oda literally signs his autograph with Sanji's eyebrow, like it's that, you know, the twirl, you know, Oda's a smoker, I think things like that. I think he likes to have fun with the character, obviously not yeah, like you say, not the over the top, I guess, obsession over women, but yeah, the fact that, you know, the devil fruits have the swirls in their designs as well. Like, it's a character that obviously Oda loves so much, and that's why he's allowed to play around with it more. And he knows that no matter what he does with Sanji, like, he will always bounce back. Like, he's allowed to do all of these things. So I'll also read a few of the other super chats that we got. So we got Anime Nakama says Zoro and Sanji wings for life. Yep. Okay. So nice. Again with chapter 1020. And Zoro and San was it? Oh yeah, Zoro and Sanji wings for life. Not yeah, that's what I said, right? Zoro and Sanji wings for life. And we got, I don't know why, I don't know if it's someone's name is question mark, but we've got double question mark. So JD isn't rational and fair, dude. He's a troll. Embrace the chaos bringer. Enjoy the chaos. Embrace the chaos bringer. This is who you are, JD. Everyone plays their roles. This is yours.
Listen.
It's a strong
as
opinion.
People can see from my content, right? People that have been following me for a while, they've known my evolution as a content creator. At first, I will admit, it was very toxic. You know, yelling, agendas, all of that. I was like, all right. Then I was like, it's time for a better Jay, right? It's time for a better one. So I started making more discussion content, pull back the agendas a little bit, and then people like the content. So I've proven that I can be rational, and sometimes I can be a chaos merchant. All right, just cut me some slack. I can evolve. I'm multifaceted like Sanji. Nice.
See, there we go. We're all Sanjis in real life. Yeah. And we got people saying you're Wadey legend, so no longer JD. We got the W's. We got Nina Bot super chat. Thanks for the super chat, guys. So Nina Bot asks thoughts on Nami being more popular than Sanji now. So I imagine that's to do with the WT global poll. And did you have any thoughts about that one?
I can't say I'm surprised because Nami is extremely popular. I'm just shocked that Sanji, to me, it just goes to show that what's been happening with Sanji recently is being reflected in the polls. Because let me not say it's rare, because it's not the first time that Sanji hasn't been third, but he's normally is third. So I would say it's like I was saying before, it ebbs and flows based on what Sanji you're getting at the time. Mm-hmm. So I'm not surprised. I kind of was a little bitter, but I let it.
Yeah, I think so I think it's good for Nami. I like that, you know, and I think from a, I guess, character standpoint, I don't think anyone would be happier about Nami, you know, getting higher than Sanji himself. Sanji getting Nami like recognized. So I'm happy with that. And I think it's very interesting like how the polls played out, because I think when I was reading up on things like that, I think the spike for Nami happened around Valentine's Day. So I think what happened was fans were like voting for their waifu. Because I think there was a chart on this and I was looking it up, and it seems like that's when the spike happened. And so I guess it just maybe that explained, that's how it was explained. That's how it could be explained. I don't think there's
I don't know. I feel like that's some heavy detective work. I'd like to see the stats on that.
I don't know if there's an actual chart on it, but I was looking it up. I can't. I think that's yeah. I mean, it would be good if we could get a chart on it. I mean, it would be fun actually if we could make a chart on like how it happened, like as it happened. You know, what the global poll like movement was like.
We'll make a funny video. I can tell you that.
Yeah,
with the crazy glasses on, come up with explanations.
Or like why people got what they did. Yeah, it would be fun to do something like that. Okay.
The title would be "The True Reason Sanji Failed."
Yeah. Okay, and we got another super chat from the question mark. Tell the truth, you became corporate, get paid. I think that's a relation to you. So all right, we're gonna stop. What is it? They're coming hard with the we're coming hard with the J agenda, it seems like.
This is my, like I said before, this is my fault. Once you introduce the agenda to some people, sometimes it takes them over and they can't control it. It takes a strong will to control the agenda spirit.
Yeah, it seems like it. All right, well, hopefully by the end of this stream, we'll reverse that some bit. Okay, so going back to Wano, and as we're talking about like Robin and all the things that happened, I guess what were your thoughts on what's your thoughts on all the recent improvements for the Straw Hats? Obviously, they've been getting a lot of focus at Wano. So, are you happy generally? Just like, what's your general thoughts on Onigashima and the raid that's been going on?
I would say Robin's new form, the devil form, amazing. I mean, I couldn't have thought of a better idea to make Robin look cool, and Oda just knocked it out the park. Like, Devil Robin is one of my favorite things in Wano, period. Like, I just wasn't expecting him to do that. I mean, the Devil Child, I guess, the Devil Child epithet kind of really makes things hit, but you don't really, you just never saw it coming. I think that's the beauty of Oda and his creativity, these powers, that he always does something that you just wouldn't expect to be cool until you see it. I'm like, okay, that's kind of incredible. Not to mention, do you think that was hockey, by the way? Or are you one of the people that think that was hockey or no?
Look, I would love it if it is haki. I think even if that isn't confirmed to be haki, I think that Robin does. Like, I think, she's at a level where she should have haki. Armament, and we've said it before in our streams before, like, armament haki obviously makes the most sense in terms of, like, Robin's abilities. And that's, I guess, the interesting thing. Like, do you think, because it's obviously her clone, so was she able to coat her clone with armament haki, or is it something else, like going back to like Sanji, is it something else that's like sort of left to be, explained, like sort of similar to Sanji's like Diablo Jumbo, like how, or like Zoro's Ashura, like how Sanji's able to have the fire? Is it just, is it something that's left to be explained? Is that something that we're getting with Robin?
It's interesting you say that, because I never thought about it that way. My first inclination is to go with hockey, just because I've always said this. Robin has always been one of the more unique fighters, being Miss All Sunday for Crocodile, and being an assassin and a famous one at that. So you would think Robin's fighting capabilities have always been pretty high. So her evolving and learning something like Fishman karate on top of that, I like to think it was just regular armament hockey. But if it's something else, that means Oda has more in store for Robin's character than we thought. So I don't know if he wanted to do that from a combat perspective, but if it is, then that would be cool.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, right. I'd love it both ways. Like, if Oda does have more in plan for like a more unique combat ability for Robin, love it. If Robin has armament, love it. Like, for me, it's just like, I love Robin. Like I said as well, Robin's my best girl, and the more that we see of her, it's just so super exciting. I just loved the way that Oda, like, really, like you say, like, just took us somewhere like where we were not expecting. Like, obviously, with this matchup, the fact that Robin was fighting against Black Maria, a lot of it was, everyone was saying that, it was pretty easy to guess that Robin would be fighting against Black Maria for like a one-on-one matchup. And I had big expectations for Robin, but I was not expecting that. Like, I was not expecting that demon form. And I think it just speaks so much to Oda's ability, like, just especially even in like the more like recent chapters, he's just proving like time and time again how he just always takes us somewhere where we're not expecting. And I love that. I love that for like Yamato as well, for Yamato's devil fruit. I don't know what, I don't know if you were hard on like and deep into like the speculating onto like what Yamato's devil fruit would be. But before we even saw Yamato's devil fruit reveal, people were like, there were lots of talks about Yamato having like the Baku devil fruit. And then once Yamato's devil fruit got revealed, once we saw it, everyone was, jumping on like the Chirin or the Kirin devil fruit, and jumping on that train. And then Oda like completely surprised us again, and that's something that I just love about One Piece.
I think I enjoyed that part as well. I think a lot of us like to theorize that we figured it out, we know exactly what it is. And the latest thing we have is O'Hara's theory on where One Piece is, and that seems to be the foregone conclusion. Oh, we know where Raftel is now. And it makes a lot of sense. But a lot of things have made a lot of sense, and Oda goes in a completely different direction. You remember when we all thought the blonde Gorosei was Sanji's father, and Sanji was actually a celestial dragon, and it all made sense. Everything was tied together. Mr. Prince, and he just makes a completely different family. And he's a prince out of nowhere. Like, and there's always hints to it. I think that's just the beauty of One Piece. It's why everyone likes to theorize, because everyone wants to be the one that said, I got it, right? And I think with Yamato's devil fruit, it could have been so many different things when you saw it. Because the first thing I thought Nine-Tailed Fox, but then you realize, wait a minute, no, that's Katarina Devon. so it cannot be a Kyuubi. There's no shot. The Kitsune as well. We already saw Gyukimaru, so I was like, I don't know if Oda's gonna do a repeat there. So I'm like, okay, we move that aside again. Then we start getting into let's start searching all kinds of mythical creatures, and this is the one that fits. And all of a sudden, Oda throws out another mythical creature that no one even thought of. And I'm just like, man, this guy's he's trolling at this point. To me, it seems like he's trolling.
Yeah, no,
but it's great. I think it's cool. That's aspect.
Yeah, I loved it as well. And I was actually around when you what you mentioned about like Sanji's father being connected to the Gorosei. I do know that was a theory that existed like retrospectively, but I wasn't around during that time. So was there actually, so what was like when Sanji's wanted only a live post that came out, bounty post that came out, what were your thoughts on that? I wish I was like a part of the community then to be able to like find stuff out like that along with you guys. So for you, did Germa did the Germa 66, and I guess I didn't touch on that when we were talking about Whole Cake Island, what were your thoughts about Sanji's family?
So when it first came out, the Sanji's Wanted poster was only alive. Everyone thought immediately Celestial Dragon. Everyone was like, oh, well, there's only one person that would ever be able to have that type of influence over the Marines. But I guess we didn't really think about the fact that a prince could also have the same influence. Everyone just jumped to Celestial Dragon. So I'm thinking, I cannot wait to learn how important Sanji really is to the world. Everyone's like, Sanji is so much more of a bigger character. People were treating it as a W, to be honest. And then when we got Germa, I would say I gave him a chance. I took the time. I have come to the conclusion that they're all just very, very horrible people outside of Reiju. Really, I think their technology was interesting. The fact that they're linked to Vegapunk is really cool and unique. Also, something that's kind of interesting, the amount of people that read the comic books like Drake and Law, and they just see, Stealth Black and they start fanboying. I think it's kind of cool that Sanji has a celebrity side to him as well whenever he puts on the raid suit, which is kind of cool. So I think Oda found a unique way to use the family where there's not really much to the family, but what is involved within the family is where the true gold is with the Germa, which is, you take the good with the mid, I'd say, because EGG, EOG, you don't really care about it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I see what you mean. I've like, personally, I felt like they didn't live up to, I guess at the end of the day, it just felt a bit short, and it was just a bit underwhelming. So it actually makes me think that, that they might actually even come back into the story. Personally, I think that they might, play a fight. They might actually, play a part in like the final war. I don't know what your thoughts about that is. I like the concept, like in terms of design, I thought it was really cool.
The design was interesting. Power Rangers theme. I think in the anime, it was so much more cooler. It was, the Germa, that was, wow. I felt like a kid.
Yeah.
That felt amazing. And the transformation, I think that was cool. But that's really more about it. Even Reiju, I think everyone was just happy to see a new pretty One Piece girl. She kisses Luffy. Everyone's like, oh, but outside of her being the only one who saw how sweet Sanji really was, I felt like Reiju was lackluster as well, which was kind of disappointing. But what are you going to do?
Yeah. Like I said, I think that might mean that we might get to see them again, and I would be excited if they do, if they play a bigger part. What was your, I think they could join like the big war, sort of like as part of like as sort of like Sanji's additions, bringing in allies. So that would be pretty cool. What were your thoughts on Stealth Black then?
It's like I thought it would look cooler, but then I realized that's how the Germa look. And Sanji, I think we've only seen Sanji when Frankie made those adjustments. He looked the same, didn't he? When he was fighting King. So I don't know what the adjustments were per se. I think the only issue I have with it is the boots. I think the bottom of the boots just look too corny for me. I understand the propulsion, I understand they're fine, but it's just corny. But the cape, the mask, the sunglasses. I actually like the sunglasses more than anything. I think Sanji looks really cool with sunglasses. Okay. So I was happy about that. And I think from a power perspective, I think a lot of people don't understand, but I actually think the raid suit is a huge, huge buff for Sanji.
Oh yeah.
Because if you think about the Germa when they have their raid suits on, they're fighting people like Oven and Daifuku. And Sanji without the raid suit beat Yonji. We know he beat Yonji. We know he's already crazy strong. So you add something like a raid suit that's like defensively, which has always been Sanji's issue. You know, Sanji always breaks ribs. He's always has a fighting with broken bones. So it's like all the Virgo stuff, right? You add the raid suit on it, and it's like he's almost as tanky. He has that same tanky feel that Zoro and Luffy have. Not to say that he's as tanky as them, but it's like he seems a lot more resilient now. So you add his power and you add resiliency with the science that actually makes him faster. Lord knows, there's more things that it can do too. So I just think overall the raid suit is my favorite thing that Sanji's gotten post time skip. I know a lot of people feel like he didn't deserve it for whatever God knows reason. Whatever. I just think it's a perfect addition to Sanji. If he was ever gonna get stronger, this would be the proper way to do it, I think.
Yeah, no, I didn't even know that people felt that way about the raid suit. I love Stealth Black. Like I even ordered the figurine for it. I think it's can't remember which one it is. I think it might be the Figure Arts. Oh, no, it's the Pop. I think it's the Pop. Anyways, I ordered the Stealth Black figure because I like fell in love with it. It's gonna come early next year, I think in February. So I might even do like an unboxing or something. But that's it. Yeah. It's a portrait. Yeah, it's the portrait of Pirates one, the POP. But so the thing about the sunglasses, then actually, do you think that there's a power, like an ability related to the sunglasses, like maybe like a weak spot detector? Or like something like...
I would say no. I think they're more of just an addition because it's Stealth Black. And, when it comes to people like Sanji, he's always been tied to his secret agent espionage-like behavior when he likes to go hidden. I think you add the sunglasses to it along with Stealth Black, which is like you add stealth, secret agent black, we got the sunglasses. It seems more of an aesthetic thing than anything. That's what I think.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. I think what you were mentioning before about like Frankie's modifications, because that was something that I was going to ask as well. Like from a design standpoint, I don't think I was expecting modifications, when we got to Onigashima, and obviously we didn't get that yet. So I was wondering maybe there's just been like modifications in terms of abilities, and we're going to be able to see more on that front on Onigashima, and then Oda could do something else later. Were you expecting? What are you expecting? Like from because we obviously haven't. He only used it once. We've only seen it used once now, and the fact that he still hasn't used it in this fight against Queen. Like, is there anything that you're expecting?
So it's funny because I actually did plan on doing a video on this, but I can definitely share. I think it's very interesting that he hasn't put the raid suit on yet, especially with Queen in hybrid form, because we know every Zoan that's gone into their hybrid form has increased in their ability. I mean, look at Kaido, you look at Ulti, you look at Page 1, Who's Who. Once you're in the hybrid form, that's when the serious fighting starts. Queen's been in his hybrid form for Lord knows how long, and Sanji's still just jumping around and dodging lasers. So it's making me think, and if you've noticed with a lot of Sanji's fight, once he turns up the heat, it's over in a chapter. So I think his turning up the heat moment is him putting on the raid suit, and I think he might handle Queen, which is surprise. I'd be very surprised. I would be very surprised if he handles Queen that quickly, because I think this is a commander we're talking about. You can't just handle commanders, right? So I wonder what it's either that Queen has a lot more that we need to see, or that Sanji is just going to beat Queen handily. That's the way I see it. I think there's only two options here, and I'd be fine for the handily because of the agenda, but I'd hope that Queen has more to show, so it's more of a struggle.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, like Sanji always like fights the tough opponents. He's a lot of things like has to do with like it's more like a blunt attack as well. It's just to do with like impact, like the force. Like back in like Enies Lobby, Jabra was like able to like move with Tekai, and now the fight against like Queen, like apart from the fact that he's obviously in his hybrid form, underneath that like Queen, like has like underneath his like Zoan exterior, he's also like a cyborg, and how I find it interesting like how Sanji is going to break through that, how he's going to like damage that sort of like durability, that toughness. And that's what I was asking, about like the sunglasses, like maybe it could be like to do with like, like be able to detect like a spot where it isn't as like, where it is less, I guess, less durable, less like thick, maybe something there's a bit of like a weak, you know, like chink in the armor.
So it'd kind of be like Chopper's focus.
Yeah, exactly.
Point, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Brain point.
Exactly.
Has he used brain point? When was the last time Chopper used brain point? I'm trying to think about that.
It would have been, that would have been a while as well. I can't remember the last time. I know Randy, I'm sure Randy will be able to let us know. Putting Randy
Yeah,
on
I'm
the
pretty
spot.
sure Randy can figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, that would be interesting. I think that would be an interesting addition. I think Frankie would be the one to do something like that too.
Yeah.
One thing that I do think that a lot of people forget is I've heard some talk, people say Sanji would struggle with bigger opponents because he doesn't have a lot of attack power. I would like to remind people that, you know, with the Oars, the Straw Hat combo against Oars and the Banana Crocodile, Long Rin, Long Island, antimatter kick course, Sanji has been kicking large enemies for a long time. And I think with the raid suit, you add the power of the raid suit to that type of kick, I think that might be how he finishes Queen. Because I think Queen is going to try and do another Brachio Bomber on Sanji. And I think the way he counteracts that is using an antimatter kick course in the raid suit to kind of overwhelm him. And I think that would be really cool if he does that. Yeah. I'd be so happy if he does that.
That'd be, yeah, I'd like to see that. I'd love that as well. So we've got someone saying, so Nexus asked, what's the point of the chat if I'm not even gonna read the comments? All right. Sorry, Nexus, we'll go back to some of the super chats. I was just having a nice conversation with Jay, so cut me some slack. We've got Total Blood. Thanks for the super chat. How do you feel about Straw Hats improving without any work? Actually, which is a good point. You know, we're sort of on this topic now. And when did they become stronger than the Toby Roppo? I mean, I love the Straw Hats improvement. You know, it's something that we've been saying, you know, all throughout the stream that we haven't been getting it since the time skip. So I love that we're seeing more of the Straw Hats. I don't think it's really like, I don't think it's fair to say that it's without any work. You know, all of the ones that we've seen beat the Toby Roppo themselves, are the Straw Hats who are more than capable of doing that. You know, Jinbei is strong. You know, we know that about Jinbei. You know, Frankie won through his tactics. Robin, we saw her use something that she learned during the time skip as well. It was in conjunction with something that she learned during the time skip. And I guess the only other the other Toby Roppos are like Ulti and Page 1, who it's a bit of a different story with them because, you know, Big Mom did most of the damage against those two. So I think I love it, and I love the focus that we've been getting on the Straw Hats.
You know, I think I wouldn't say no work because we have gotten a few flashbacks, especially with the Robin flashback. I mean, we just saw her learning Fishman karate. So I don't think you can say that any work when we're literally getting the flashbacks. I think maybe you're talking about Frankie. Frankie's never really gone all out, ever, in Wano. So I can just assume easily Frankie's always been this strong. I think we can all assume that one. Was not a fan of the Sasuke fight, by the way. I think Sasuke was a very disappointing, actually. And then Nami and Ulti, I mean, you got it. She's always had Zeus, but Zeus is now with her permanently. It's a part of her climate tag. So Nami's not the type to train off screen. She'd have to get something weather related. Zeus is weather related. It was either going to be an invention that would just be handed to her, or she gets an item that enhances her weather abilities. I don't know what we were expecting here. Nami's not an engineer.
Yeah.
You know, Usopp's the engineer. Right? Okay, so again, Nami didn't even need any of that proverbial work that we're talking about. I'm sure people would have liked Nami's fight to be more interesting, more just her versus Ulti and her figuring it out, because we've seen Nami be tactical before. So I think that's where people kind of got like, you know, I kind of wanted to see more from Nami. And then who's the other? Oh, Jinbei. I mean, again, have we seen Jinbei go all out? Like, Jinbei, we know Jinbei's strong.
Exactly.
To me, we should have assumed Jinbei was going to finish who's who. And I mean, the gargoyle towel fist, I mean, can we really complain about that? I don't even think we've seen the peak of Fishman karate. That might have been the peak.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, so I disagree. I think the Straw Hats defeating the Todoroki has been fine. My only issue has been what happened with Page 1 and Sasuke. Those are my two gripes.
I mean, so we've got Gabe saying that Frankie versus Senor Pink was better. And like from I guess I'd say
Oh,
that I enjoyed the Frankie and Senor Pink better as well. But I love Frankie as a character. And the thing about like Frankie fights in the past has always been that the way that I felt about Frankie is that we never really got to like see his true strength, because he always fights those who are obviously weaker than like the opponents that other members like the Monster Trio might fight. But Frankie always has an easier time defeating his opponents, in my opinion.
Right.
And so I think Frankie's so like Frankie's strength has always been like a bit harder to like gauge. And I think like in terms of this fight against Sasaki though, I think Sasaki would have like definitely smashed Frankie if Frankie didn't have General Frankie, and that's why he had to beat him as fast as he did, otherwise he would lose. But so we got Randy coming back with so thanks Randy for the facts. Pretty sure Oda forgot Brain Point existed after the fight in Skypiea. He might have randomly used it in Fishman Island when he just went Kung Fu Point. Yeah, we haven't been seeing it for a while. And I think because you said that you were disappointed about the Sasaki fight, because you've got Fresh Ingredients saying like no Sasaki backstory, which is obviously something that I know a lot of us were expecting about, you know, potential ties to like Grandma Kokoro and the like link to Enies lobby back like to Water 7. Is that what you meant, or was it just more from like a fighting standpoint?
I would say from a fighting standpoint, I mean, Sasuke never really did anything that made me think, oh, Satsuki's cool. I mean, if you can find any, I'd love to hear your thoughts. But, you know, for me personally, the first thing I see of Satsuki is he's supposed to be this rival of Who's Who and Drake, and Denjiro catches him and ties him to a tree. Then we see him again, and he turns into a giant rhino, and he's just ramming people back and forth. And I'm like, okay, I guess that's what rhinos do. When's the cool stuff gonna happen? He finally goes hybrid. I'm like, oh, cool, look, a hybrid rhino. That's awesome. Or not rhino, sorry. The dinosaur form, Triceratops. Hybrid Triceratops. And then he turns into a helicopter. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. I was like, you gotta be kidding me, man. Like, maybe it's just a preference thing, and I will admit this is subjective. So if you love Sasuke, please don't let me ruin your day. It's stupid. I just thought it was stupid. And I'm like, I checked out of Sasuke immediately, and I was hoping Frankie would destroy him, and he did with the memes. So I'm like, thank God he's gone.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, I think Sasaki would have beaten Frankie if it wasn't for General Frankie. And like Randy says, I think that the fight will be like, it'll work in the anime more. It'll be funny because I enjoyed the comedy aspect of it. The fact that like, you know, Sasaki like went backwards and he was like, oh like crap, I like propelled myself the wrong way. And so I enjoyed that there was a bit of like a, you know, humor element that Oda like tied in, which like that was unexpected, you know, from Sasaki's design and, you know, sort of from his demeanor. I wasn't expecting Oda to play around with that aspect of him. But I see what you mean. The helicopter thing was like so random. I wasn't expecting that.
That's the thing. It's just so like, oh my god, because he got it with Buffalo in Dressrosa, and you think Buffalo looks ridiculous, and then you get it again from someone who you tried to take seriously. So I'm like, here we go.
Yeah. Yeah, that was right.
We got
What was that? Sorry.
I would say like, ironically, we got the reverse. When you look at Senior Pink, he looks absolutely ridiculous beyond measure, and you end up thinking like, oh, this guy's the coolest thing ever. Everyone loves Senior Pink. You can't really find a Senior Pink hater out there. So I guess maybe that's Oda's intention. Someone who looks really cool ends up looking ridiculous. Someone who looks ridiculous looks cool. Okay. Maybe.
Yeah, I like that as well. I think that makes a lot of sense. And I like the reasoning behind that. And yeah, I guess and for me, I like that what it did for Frankie. You know, and that's General Frankie was needed because obviously Frankie isn't going to be naturally as strong like Jinbei. So he won't be able to beat someone on the same level as Jinbei without his armor. And obviously that fight, you know, with Sasaki would have finished a lot quicker without it, because, you know, Sasaki like destroyed General Frankie, and so it would probably like result in a one-shot without it. So I enjoyed the fight in that from that standpoint. But
that was a good strength feat though.
Yeah,
I do agree with that.
And so we've got Luca saying Chopper's brain point be making antidotes on the spot. That's why we're not seeing it then, I guess. And Frankie gives me chills. His VA is goated. Yeah, his VA is so great. I mean, that's how Frankie was, I think, created. I think Oda really enjoyed the VA, the Seiryu for Bon Clay, because I think it's the same voice actor. And then so when he was writing Frankie, I think he like tweaked a lot of things to like fit that, which I think is great.
That is cool. I also very motivated saying Frankie's OST will make it so much more entertaining.
Yeah.
I actually do agree with that. Frankie's OST, I think it's actually very, very underrated. I think it's really hard not to start kind of getting a little jig when you hear it. So that's a really good point.
Yeah. I'm excited for the anime for all of these like Onigashima raid moments. We've got another super chat from Terrible Glory, who's also a new subscriber. So welcome to the Joy Fleet. And my phone's going off again. I really should have remembered to do that before the stream. Terrible Glory says, Kaido, Aokiji and Kid versus Shanks, Mihawk, and Katakuri. His friend gave him a tournament bracket earlier and can't decide who would win. So it is Kaido, Aokiji, and Kid on one side versus Shanks, Mihawk, and Katakuri. I think it comes down to like Shanks or Kaido, and then that would that bracket I think defines or like would define that fight for me. Wherever. Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'll let you finish.
I was just gonna say maybe if Shanks and Mihawk are together, I think wherever Shanks is. So I think I'll go with Shanks, Mihawk, and Katakuri.
It's tough because we still don't know what Kid can do yet, which is shocking to say, but it's true. We don't know how far Kid can go. So I just see it as everyone canceling each other out until we get to Kid and Katakuri. And I just have seen more from Katakuri. I trust Katakuri way more than I do Kid. So that's pretty sad. But yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah. That's actually I'm glad that you bring it up, because that's something that it's actually a video that I'm coming out with like very soon, a Kid video, a discussion about Kid. But I just wanted to see like what are your thoughts about Kid? I know this came up during the Reverie and the pre-Reverie, and a lot of people seem to be like pretty disappointed or like not even expecting much from Kid going forward, which surprised me personally.
I think it's sad because I feel like an idiot now, still expecting something from Kid, because every time I have hope, it's like Oda will off screen him. And we haven't seen him and Big Mom for so long. You just start thinking like, are we gonna see what Kid can really do? I think the moment we saw the rappel at the rooftop, where he pushed Big Mom off, pushed Big Mom off the skull of Onigashima, I was like, oh, so we see like the actual magnetism. Instead of him just grabbing a bunch of swords and guns and knives, we see him using his magnetism. And I think that's what we think will push Kid over the edge, where it's like, oh, Kid is Luffy's rival. We just haven't seen it yet. So it's like Oda keeps showing us Kid next to Luffy and Kid competing with Luffy, but he hasn't done anything that would warrant him being there. If you look at Law, we've seen Law. We know Law's broken. If you don't understand his devil fruit, Law's like an X factor. With Kid, we just see him as a boxer or a wrestler. We don't really see him as anything else that's kind of unique. And I think it's sad because we don't even have his character to fall back on, because Kid, we still need his backstory and understanding with his relationship with Killer, because that was a big plot point in Wano that we haven't seen yet. You know, seeing someone like Kid have care for somebody leaves the question where, okay, we have to dig deeper in this guy's psyche, because this is not something we saw with him. So it's like Oda just has this wall in front of Kid that we're just waiting to get past, and the wall just seems to get bigger rather than getting smaller. And that's why I think people are frustrated.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I understand the frustration. I think we're gonna see it though. I think I'm very certain that we're going to get it. And so personally, I can't wait. I love kids devil fruit. I say it a lot that I'm always very attracted to like power abilities in any sort of like media that has to do with like magnetism. Like, you know, I love Magneto, for example, like in the X-Men series. So I think the fact that Onigashima is obviously, you know, filled with weapons is an advantage for Kid, and I think it's going to come into play at some point. And I don't think Oda would portray Kid as he has, you know, throughout the entirety of the series, like since we've been introduced to him, if he isn't going to do something big at some point. And obviously that does mean that, you know, we're going to have to see more screen time, but like personally I'm excited for that. Like you say, the backstory, like the fact that he obviously cares for his for Killer, that's something that really interests me, and that's something that's been interesting me for a while, ever since I saw that SBS volume where he drew like the supernovas as children, and I saw that like very like stark contrast between how Kid was portrayed and how Killer was portrayed, like both as kids. Like Kid, you know, Kid almost looked like he grew up like in the Grey Terminal, like, you know, just very like rugged, like lonely, you know, playing with a like robot by himself, whereas like Killer, like, you know, like grew up, like it seems like he grew up, you know, kind of nice, like maybe not posh so much, but like, you know, with a family, like he's eating like spaghetti at a table or something. And so like it's always been interesting for me, like how did these two, like, you know, very like different people, individuals, like come to become partners. So I'm very excited for that.
Would you say that it's kind of like Ace and Sabo in a way, right? Where Ace is this rugged kid, not really from the Great Terminal, but you may see him from the Great Terminal from time to time. And then Sabo's a posh kid that comes, you know, that would be, you know, that's a really good point. I think that would be a very interesting dynamic where one comes from poverty, one comes from maybe not too well off, but a privileged situation that he didn't have, and they found like that would make sense of why their bond is so strong too, right?
Yeah, I actually never really like made it to the Ace and Sabo connection, but I like that a lot, and you know, I can see it. I think my headcanon was that like Kid maybe saved Killer one time. Or like not necessarily saved him, but like, you know, was just like, you know, told the other, like maybe Killer came into like sort of the rough parts of town one day, was getting picked on, and maybe Kid like sort of came to his defense, or, you know, scared away the other kids or something. And then like maybe Killer was always a bit of like a late bloomer, and then so ever since then because Killer I think is older than Kid, but then even despite his like age, you know, maybe just looked up to someone who's a bit younger because of an experience. But I like that. I like the parallels to Ace and like Sabo a lot as well.
Yeah, I think you could even bring those two together. It could be from two different backgrounds, and that's how they met. Yeah. Right, and then all of a sudden, Killer, maybe it's even a case where Killer, he was destined to do something good. And if you notice, Killer likes to pay attention to what's going around in the world. So, you know, he has some sort of acumen that's kind of different than just being a rogue pirate. And then Killer's all about destroy everything. Maybe Killer was looking for more in life as a younger kid. Meanwhile, Kid was just trying to survive. And they kind of work together. I'll help you survive if you help me be free. And they have this unique, pure bond in that regard. Because if you notice, Kid was always trying to rein Kid in. You know, when he first sees a poo, the first thing they do is start fighting and blow with Hawkins. And Kid is always going off the handle. And Killer's like, why you got to do this, man? Like, why do you want, you know? So that's interesting. You know, I'm glad you brought that up, because I guess that's something we still need to harp upon. And you know, Killer's fighting Hawkins still. So there could be something there.
I like what you said. Like, yeah, Killer almost feels like the captain sometimes, but it's, I guess, a similar dynamic that we get within the Straw Hats. So speaking of like relationships within, I guess, between Kid and Killer, do you have a favorite relationship between Sanji and someone within the Straw Hats?
Ironically, Sanji and Zoro, when they're together, I am always happy. Easy. Like, I'm never not, because like, I think something that I really enjoyed in the anime in particular was the interaction. You remember when they all were getting together to do the toast for Jinbei in the anime, that really popular episode. The interaction between Sanji and Zoro, it just made me so happy, because then it makes me think of Long Ring and Long Island, and they're fighting each other and they're cracking on each other, and it's like, every time you see those two together, it's like they treat each other as equals just by trolling each other constantly. But then there's moments and times where you see nothing but absolute mutual respect. I mean, the Thriller Bark moment is awesome. And then there's also moments where Luffy is worried about, I don't think it was Luffy was worried. Someone was worried about somebody. And then Zoro was like, relax, Sanji's with them. Like, they're fine. I'm trying to remember that moment that Jack can remind me. I guess them being separated for so long maybe makes us forget that brother-like relationship that they have, that we got in pre-time skip in droves. So I think that's always been my favorite relationship between Sanji and Zoro. And then one that I think is kind of cool is actually Nami and Sanji.
Okay.
So I think Whole Cake was very unique.
Yeah.
Right. Nami never really... You don't really see Nami embrace Sanji a lot like that. And I think when Sanji came back to the crew, finally, when he got off the magic carpet with Pudding, Nami's reaction to Sanji was very sweet and very loving. And you don't really see Nami be very loving with Sanji to the point where Pudding's in the background looking like, oh no, get your hands off me. I was like, wow. Because it just goes to show. And then I think that all started in Ennis Lobby when Nami had immense amount of respect for Sanji's ideals in that moment. And then you see those two together after he fought Luffy and she walks by him and, you know, Nami's very unforgiving and she's like, I'm going to make you work for this.
Yeah.
But for now, we're just, you know,
happy to have
she's like stern on him, but Sanji knew, oh, nah, I'm back. I'm back. So there's a lot of good character moments with Team.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, Nami's also like great with everyone. Something that I really enjoy is like Nami and Zoro's relationship as well. For Sanji and Zoro, I think like that's such an easy, I think, favorite. I mean, if you as long as you can step away from like all the like hatred between like the fandoms, like I mean, who doesn't like enjoy the Sanji and Zoro moments? Like it's so awesome when like both of them are on the page like together. And you know, if like some of my favorite moments, like the ones that you bring up, like that you brought up, like they're my favorite moments, you know, like against like Foxy Pirates, you know, in Alabasta when they agreed that it would just like take, you know, just 2 seconds to like beat all the fodders, and then in Wano as well, you know, when they save Toko, like it's something that we obviously don't get to see enough, and so it's amazing like when we do. And you know, I think as long as if you don't get too stuck within like the question of like whether it's Zoro or Sanji and just appreciate Zoro and Sanji, I think it just like makes life so much more enjoyable and makes like One Piece so much more enjoyable because you just feel like double the happiness. And going back to like, I guess, Whole Cake, what you were saying, I think the Sanji and Luffy relationship in Whole Cake really is what made like the arc for me. You know, it's like the Luffy and Sanji fight was like so heartbreaking for me to watch. It just tugs like on your heartstrings like so much. And you know, as you know, and it means so much for like Sanji, someone like who wasn't valued by his family, and you know, was only used to like expand their army, and then used again to like, you know, to marry into like Big Mom's family, and then Luffy just like beautifully resolving all of that, like all of those feelings like for Sanji, and you know, maybe even for fans, you know, about Sanji's like perceived worthlessness by actually like stating like explicitly, you know, I need you, like I can't be like Pirate King without you. I don't know, it's such a moment, like that's definitely like the moment from Whole Cake Island that sticks with me. And you know, it's like Luffy like saying like Luffy valued Sanji in that moment more than Sanji valued himself. Which is, you know, something that goes back to, you know, things that we saw in like Baratie as well again.
Yep. You know, I like that point you mentioned about Luffy and Sanji, because I think when I revisit Luffy and Sanji talking about their dreams, and that smile from Sanji, I think is one of my favorite Sanji panels ever, because I don't know how Oda managed to draw happiness, joy, and innocence in a face, but Sanji's face was just pure childish joy. And I think Luffy, who's embodiment of that pure childish joy, it seems like they connected spiritually at that moment where Luffy's like, I will not leave this place without Sanji on my crew. Like, there's no way. I gotta have him. And I think I guess we underestimate that relationship between Luffy and Sanji because it never really was as tightly knit as it used to be until Whole Cake where it all comes back and you realize how tightly knit they are again. So it's not. That's actually underrated. I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I love that the moment in Baratie that you speak about as well. Like, yeah, it's such a great moment, and like, you know, they bonded first, you know, because of like their shared impossible dreams. They both have like. They're both the biggest dreamers, I guess, on top, like on the crew. You know, Luffy obviously shares that bond, shares a bond with Zoro in terms of like ambition and fighting. But like Sanji and Luffy's connection, like through their dreams, and having like a seemingly impossible dream. I think it's just such a great pure relationship, like you say. And I think that's why. And I loved how like Oda's been going back to all of this and bringing this in with the recent Wano chapters as well. Like, you know, with Sanji telling Chopper, you know, calming him down, assuring him, you know, like, how many miracles have you seen? Because Sanji's like witnessed like those miracles from Luffy. And I love that relationship so much.
Yeah.
That's
actually a good point as well.
Yeah, we got Ryo, one of my mods here, saying eel Sanji discussion. No, Ryo, we're coming in hard with the Sanji agenda. This is where we can come in with going in with the agenda now. And so hi Ryo, thanks for coming in, but you've come at a great time where we're actually gonna talk Sanji up. And I something like these relationships between the Straw Hats is something that really like interests me a lot. The Straw Hats is like my favorite aspect of the series. Like I follow One Piece because I love the Straw Hats. It's, you know, it's a huge gives me like just so much joy. Like even just like not even when they're like fighting and necessarily doing like epic things. I just like love just watching them hang out. So it's something, and
right.
something that I actually want to do like a video about, like looking at like the different relationships within the crew, not necessarily with Luffy, like the ones that you mentioned, like Sanji and Nami. Like I said, Zoro and Nami, something that's always been on my mind. And Izugi, sorry if I've mispronounced that, sorry, but it's asks, what relationship would you like to see improved between Sanji and the other Straw Hats? Improved.
That's a tough one. I guess you don't really think about the individual relationships between the Straw Hats until they come up. Nami and Sanji was one that I would have liked, but that's already been done. So, and then we just got Robin and Sanji, which was kind of new, actually. I think that's kind of a new development, if I'm not mistaken. You know, you never really see Robin hold Sanji in that high of a regard. But maybe we just need, like the chat saying, relationships to build with other Straw Hats between Jinbei and everyone else.
Yeah,
like,
Jinbei.
I think Jinbei and Sanji, I mean, Christopher's kind of just, he's reading my mind right now, but Jinbei and Sanji, after that moment in Fishman Island, remember how angry Sanji was at Jinbei in the first place for what he did to Nami. I was actually very disappointed at Sanji in that moment. Very disappointed. It's one of my least favorite Sanji moments because I felt like that's very rash, immature, and he's kind of throwing himself in a situation that doesn't concern him. So I think Sanji and Jinbei becoming closer would be awesome. And then Aaron, like Aaron C says as well, I think Nami and Jinbei would be unique as well. You know, they have already forgiven each other. Becoming close would be, I feel like they would have a deeper relationship than anyone in a way, because it's like a trauma relationship being built where she probably sees Arlong in a different light. Ironically, even though I don't think she'll forgive him, I think she sees Arlong in a different way. Yeah. After learning more from Jinbei,
Yeah, for sure. So actually, going back, you know, if we're on this topic about like relationship and characters, what's your opinion about Yamato and whether Yamato would join the Straw Hats? Are you a fan of the idea?
I'm one of the people. Yeah, I think it's a foregone conclusion at this point. You know, Yamato is a goofy gag. You know, with the I am Odin thing, and she also Yamato. He also has the same mannerisms. If you noticed when they announced Yamato on the Overcom or whatever, the Dendemushi, Yamato had this funny One Piece like face, you know, with the mouth elongated, kind of like Luffy and Sanji and Usopp falling off Skypiea. You know, Yamato had that same vibe, and I'm thinking, oh, that's very Straw Hat like. And then, you know, the announcing of the dream that I want to sail the seas, I want to be a pirate, I want to be like Odin. If you really want to be like Odin, you're leaving Wano, you're not staying. So, you know, I just think it's a foregone conclusion. Not to mention, I think it's time that there's someone new with a fresh look that comes into the Straw Hats, and there's also another strong combatant. Just because I think having Jinbei, Sanji, and Zoro, great. Having a fourth one, you match up with Blackbeard more. Now, I know from a power scaling perspective, I don't think it's that important, but it would be interesting to see someone other than Chopper, who's also a Zoan as well, because we kind of have a multifaceted crew there. We don't even have a Logia, ironically. So what if Caribou? You know, what if we get Caribou as a Straw Hat? I always like to throw that out there just in case. Okay. But I'm fine. I like Yamato joining. I think it's straightforward. It should happen. I don't see why it would.
Yeah, fair enough. I was very I was on that same boat as well. More after, I guess, the recent chapters after finding out about Yamato's devil fruit. Now I'm sort of more on the fence about whether Yamato will join or not. I think it could also make sense if Yamato stays behind. But I was talking to Ohara about this actually, and because I said that it seems like with Yamato's devil fruit, Oda's going strong with the idea that Yamato is supposed to be a guardian deity for Wano. And I liked what Ohara said, that it would be even nicer in that case, that if that is supposed to be Yamato's fate, but obviously with choosing your own dreams, choosing your own fate being a strong idea in One Piece, Yamato going, you know what though, I think I'd still like to sail with the Straw Hats. So that resolved it for me somewhat, but I'm sort of on the fence with the way that Oda's, I guess, bringing in this mythology and the meaning of the devil fruit. I'm also seeing it could be something else. But anyways, and something that, because I think I saw this in the chat, I went a bit further up for me, so I'm just trying to find it, but I can't find it anymore. But I think, and what you were mentioning about as Yamato as being a powerhouse, where do you sit in the lines of people saying whether Yamato is going to replace Sanji in that case, about all this talk about Monster Trio and in terms of the strength levels between Yamato and Sanji?
I think a lot of people misunderstand the term Monster Trio. Robin is the one who I think put it to bed. There's two wings that support Luffy, Zoro, Sanji. It's always been those two. To me, if you look at Roger's crew, it's Rayleigh, Scopper, right? There could have been people that are stronger on that crew, but it's always those two. If you look at Shanks, the main three you'll get is Lucky Roo, Yasopp, and Ben Beckman. And in this case, Sanji is definitely the vice captain after Zoro. Jinbei is the adult of the crew and has more of a responsibility. But I don't think the Monster Trio is only due to strength. I think it's something that's been established for quite a long time. And they'll always be the three most respected and maybe most senior outside of Nami, the three most senior Straw Hats. So Yamato can never come into that fold. It'll never happen. If we're talking about strength, it's not about... The Monster Trio isn't just about strength. It's just a case that Yamato is really strong and she's on the crew, and he's on the crew, and that's all it'll be. Yeah. And I don't think it'll be anything else. So I think people need to get that Monster Trio idea out of their head that is something only tied to strength. It's more about respect, long-standing, and then the strength to make them monsters itself. Yeah.
Perfect. I think that's exactly how I see it as well. I think that's been clear, and if it wasn't clear enough, then I think Oda really hammered in that point with what Robin said in the recent chapter. I guess if we're going to the analogies, if we think about the Roger Pirates, if Luffy is Roger and Zoro is Rayleigh, then Sanji is Scopper, and then Yamato would fit in more like Odin, the fact that Odin was also on the crew. So if Yamato comes in that point, Odin was obviously a powerhouse, super strong, but didn't affect that trio between Rayleigh, Scopper, and Roger. We'll answer a few other super chats. So Brandon King super chatted a while ago. I hope you're still here, Brandon. Sorry about that, and thank you for your super chat. Do you think Usopp needs to die to be brave? And And I don't think so. I don't think Usopp needs to die. I think he could actually lead like the crew, you know, for something big, like something huge. And you know, I've got like an example scenario would be something like, you know, if all the Straw Hats get poisoned and like put to sleep, and you know, and they're in danger because like they're up against a powerful enemy, like I think we'll see something like where Usopp has to like strategize and do something like huge in that way. And I don't think he necessarily has to die for it to be brave. I don't know what you think.
I don't think Usopp needs to die to be brave. I think him dying and having a long tail to tell of the bravest warrior of the sea would be kind of Norlandish in a way. And I think I can see the tie between those two. But I think bravery is, you know, just facing moments that you know you're incapable, logically you're incapable of really getting out of it, you know, unscathed. And I think Usopp does that consistently. I think Usopp's bravery has already been shown. I think his bravery is actually a consistent part of his character. Him dying to be brave disqualifies all the other brave moments the man has had already. So, I mean, to me, I think one of the bravest moments I've ever seen Usopp have is him going back to fight Frankie after losing the money for Mary. Even after being beaten up, he went to the Frankie house to try and confront him again. And I think seeing that bravery and then seeing Usopp crying before Nami, I mean, my God, if you want to talk about moments that make you cry, and he says, I'm crying now. Like, when he says, I'm so useless, Nami was like, yo, Luffy, please kill them. Like, you gotta do something about it, because Usopp is like, that mindset of Usopp is useless. Nami, Luffy, Chopper, Zoro, Sanji, they all don't think that way about Usopp. If you remember Syrup Village, Usopp thinks he's scared. Zoro and Luffy think he's brave because they know he's weak and he still fights. That's why they love him. It's because he is brave. He just doesn't see it. We all see you're brave, Usopp. You just, you know, because Oda likes to show Usopp's mindset all the time. So you think he's a coward. But if we're in Usopp's shoes, we're just as scared as Usopp, if not more scared, because Usopp's a regular human being. We need to understand he's not superhuman. He's not Sanji. He's not Zoro. He is us with a slingshot and a really good eye. That's really what Usopp is. So the bravery concept with Usopp, he doesn't need to die. He doesn't. If he dies, it's for the tale to be told after he's dead. It has nothing to do with his bravery.
I agree with you. Like, you know, I think Usopp's brave. Like, the fact that, you know, he's made it this far in the Grand Line showcases that he's brave already. I think because of like how the story's been set up, I would still love to see like an Usopp focused moment. You know, maybe that's where we're going if we go to like Elbaf. But I agree. I don't think that Usopp needs to die. I don't think any of the Straw Hats needs to die in the story. I also don't know how likely it is that whether they will die, knowing how Oda you know, knowing like how Oda likes his characters and how he likes to write his characters, and doesn't, you know, obviously saves death for a very, very particular purpose. And I saw, and there's a comment here from Zerxizin. I'm so sorry, I'm butchering these pronunciations. I'm so sorry, guys. But Sanji and Zoro have been given the responsibility to drive the narrative forward more than any other Straw Hat when Luffy isn't available, and the crew relies on them the most. And we're just jumping back a little bit, but this is something that I wanted to say about Sanji before as well, especially about Sanji, is that like, Sanji, I guess, Sanji, and I think we see that if we're talking about like Sanji's versatility and like, you know, how like in terms of his like utility for the story and for the series, I think we don't pay enough attention to the fact that everything that we're getting now in Wano is actually because, you know, Sanji picked up Kinemon's head. You know, that we wouldn't be here at Wano if it wasn't Sanji who decided, you know, to help out Kinemon at that point. And this is something that I wanted to ask you about, is because I know that, you know, going back to like what we're saying about like how we're waiting for like Sanji's like Mr. Prince moments. Sanji saving Momo when he was up, you know, up on the up at the platform earlier during the raid, and Sanji saving Momo. Do you think that was obviously that was a like a good example of like Mr. Prince moment. Do you think we're gonna get something else other than that, or is that enough? Like, was that enough for you?
In terms of the showing up and appearing at the last minute, we already got two of them. I mean, the Momo one was the one where nobody knows where he is, and all of a sudden, boom, he's right there when you need him the most, and he uses the raid suit. And ironically, a lot of people theorize that's what Sanji would do the moment we saw Momo being captured. And I also think him clashing with King as well was kind of interesting to see the raid suit. We got to saw the durability of the raid suit. So yeah, I think that was one Mr. Prince moment. And, you know, the Queen moment, saving Chopper, it's almost a carbon copy. Nobody knows, like, Chopper's about to get hit. Nobody knows where Sanji is. Sanji's been gone. We didn't even know what direction he went into. And boom, he just appears with his Zoro at his side, just kicking Queen. And I'm like, oh, okay, another Mr. Prince moment. So we've actually gotten two of them in Wano, which is surprising. But, you know, after all the complaining, you got a lot of these great moments. I think the difference is, I think with this moment with Queen, you got the cool one-liner as well, and the cool speech. You know, how many miracles have we seen?
Yeah.
That's now the how many miracles have we seen moment, you know? So, like, I think maybe the Momo moment, I think, doesn't get enough credit, unfortunately, which is odd. I don't think it does. Even I forgot it, so, I'll hit myself in the head. But, it's just overlooked, I'd say, and I can't really put a finger on why it is, but I think the Queen moment to me is one that I'll remember for some time.
Yeah, right. I mean, I remember the Momo moment a lot because obviously that's when we saw like the raid suit. And like when we actually got that, I actually thought that, you know, Sanji was gonna fight King because I thought the raid suit ability would have like a fire element to it because obviously all his brothers had like these like different abilities with their raid suits that seems to like amplify I guess like their genetic modifications. And so I thought Sanji versus like a flying king, you know, both as like people who are able to fare in like an aerial combat and then maybe with like a fire element would be cool as well. But now obviously I think it's pretty clear that it's going to be Zoro fighting King. But I loved also the Sanji moment, like, you know, telling Momo, you know, to like, you know, to, you know, when he like congratulates Momo and, you know, like there's a thumbs up, you know, saying like,
that was good.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yes. You know, love that moment, you know, because no one, I guess, like, I think no one knows the feeling of like about being weak and then rising to the occasion like better than Sanji and maybe Usopp as well. And I know when we were talking about the Straw Hat relationships between Sanji as well, that's another one, obviously, like Sanji and Usopp's relationship is such a great one. Like, I love, it's like so funny. And I know like Sanji's always like bickering, like, you know, he only cares about the women. But like the way that Sanji cares for Usopp and like protects Usopp, I think is just, I love those scenes so much. And I think they're quite alike in a lot of ways as well. Going back to the raid suit, this is something that I was going to mention earlier, but I forgot. I know that we said that we haven't seen the modification. Is there something that you would like to see in terms of aesthetic design about what Sanji's raid suit would look like?
The only thing I would get rid of is the cape. The cape, and you can't. I don't think you can change the boots. That might be something I have to live with. But because how else is he gonna get the boosters? And you know, unless Frankie can modify that, then if it can kind of look more of just, it looks like a new suit in a way. I don't know. I guess I'm being too picky here because if you get rid of the cape, then the mask doesn't look so cool. So yeah, it's tough. I don't know. I'd like to trust in Oda's creativity because I know Oda's better at this than me, way better at it than me. But I guess I've always liked Sanji's suit and cigarette the way it is. Yeah. So maybe it can be something like that, or maybe like a little Iron Man suit kind of. It's like more of a without the cape, but it's more like something that covers him completely. I think that would be kind of cool, like a nice little suit and like a mask on top of it too.
Yeah, I agree because my wish was that like it would just look like a complete like regular suit. You know, like similar to what like Sanji's character design is already, but like complete with the raid suit abilities. But again, it's like sort of like, it's also from like a merchandise standpoint. Obviously, we need something extra. We need something more to have like for the figures, because I love the figures as well. So I like the different things. And we've got Cuddy Perp says they need to make his suit into a chef type suit. Yeah, like we could get an apron. I don't know how I feel about that when he's fighting, but and Emperor Luffy says, I don't want Sanji to stop being the Black Ranger. We got a lot of people who just want.
You know, it's funny.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'd say, you know, it's funny because I see a lot of people in the chat saying they love the cape, and I'm thinking to myself, like, I've never been a fan of capes, but the cape works.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just works with the suit, and I was like, I can't be mad at it, but I don't like capes. I've never liked it. Maybe it's just a personal preference.
Yeah. I mean, I would like to see just the suit, like a regular suit with the cape. You know, something like imagine like, you know, what his outfit was like in Whole Cake Island, like the white suit, but maybe like keep it black. Obviously keep it black, but with just like the cape on top of that.
Then he'd kind of be like Tuxedo Mask from Sailor Moon, though, right?
Yeah, I can get on board with that. I don't know how you feel, but I'll get on board with that.
Give Sanji a top hat? That's the change you made?
A bit like very similar to Sabo in that case. They're already blondes. Both blondes. And we've got Emperor Luffy saying the Vinsmokes definitely have a Megazord. It's coming to Wano. There's no way Oda invents a Power Rangers team and doesn't bring them to Japan. Coming to Wano as well. I don't know if I said that I think I'm expecting Germa 66 to come back later in the story. I don't know how I feel about coming back to Wano. I wasn't expecting that. But I think they would come back in terms of like the information side of it, like how Oda will like bring it back to tie into like, I guess, like history and things like that, and give us a bit more like information. I don't know about them physically coming back to Wano.
I could see them coming back in the series too. Definitely. I think their technology still needs to be founded upon. Not to mention, Queen and Judge have now been confirmed to work together. So I think there's more to what happens with Vegapunk, the Germa, and Queen. I think Sanji might have something to do with Vegapunk being introduced. Maybe Vegapunk will see Sanji and think, hey, I worked on this with your father, and then we learn more about devil fruits and about the lineage factor, just from the fact that he remembers Sanji's event smoke, and that's the trigger to the reminiscing. So maybe that might be it. That's something that's unique that could happen. But I think the Germa aren't done yet for sure. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting that you say that about like about I guess Sanji's role in that, like, because that is something that I wanted to ask you, like, what are you expecting from Sanji, like, here on out, within Wano, within, like, Onigashima?
He's got to be Queen. He's going to have his triumphant combat moment that we've been waiting for him to have. And I also think that Sanji is going to have a very strong leadership moment. He's already had one by defeating Queen, but I think we're gonna have a big Straw Hat moment, and I know this might sound crazy, but I do think both Zoro and Sanji are gonna help Luffy in one way. I don't think Sanji has to go to the rooftop, but can you imagine Zoro, say he fights King, and Sanji finishes off Queen, and then they both have a moment where Sanji's like, you need to go help Luffy. And we've seen this before, but maybe Zoro stands on Sanji's foot and Sanji launches Zoro back up to the rooftop. It's some cool Team Straw Hat moment where Zoro's back up to the rooftop to help Luffy with Kaido. You know, I think that'd be a great moment just from a monster trio perspective, the dynamic duo working together. Because that's one thing I've really wanted to see. I want to see Sanji and Zoro fight together in some way or some fashion, or at least do some teamwork combo or something. I think that's what we really need to want.
Yeah, I would love that as well. And this is me coming in with the agenda now. But if we're talking about like leadership moments and stuff, but I've long been a fan, and I've long been saying that I'd like to see the Straw Hats fight Kaido. obviously I don't think they'd be able to like necessarily deal damage, and it's something that I've been saying for a while, and I saw that a lot of people have been getting on board with the idea. I know that Morge came out with the video I think last week. Someone on Discord told me that I'm the King also made a video about it as well, and so I think it'd be cool, like in terms of a leadership moment. Obviously, if the Straw Hats are fighting Kaido whilst Luffy is temporarily out and temporarily recovering, then it's going to be Zoro and like Sanji leading that fight. So I'd love to see that. We've got, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, you know, it's ironic. Everyone thinks I'm the only one who has agendas, but I believe we have it confirmed now. JoyGirl has agendas as well.
Yeah, but oh, I've got agendas like up the wazoo. Like I've got lots of agendas. I'd love a team fight. I've been saying it for so long. You know, I'm so happy that Mr. Morge released the video about it. I haven't actually watched I'm the King's video on it, but I heard that he did it too, and it's catching on. So I love it. I like some of my other agendas. I definitely think that Toki's coming back. I think Toki's alive. I guess I have to say it like every stream. Is that you agreeing? Are we on board with that idea?
This is me. This is my agree moment.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, like,
yes, all right, nice. Yeah, I think so. And in terms of, I guess, so yeah, okay, so I think it's a one that I think a lot of people have been like, the Toki one, I think is, for me, I think it's easy to get on board, but I know that even like people, when talking about it on Discord, people aren't so on board with the idea. So I'm surprised that you're very, you know, that was a very like immediate response for you. So I'm glad about that.
Well, she has to come back. I mean, this guy, to me, it's just right in your face. Like, Toki has to do something at this point. Otherwise, she'd be very disappointing. So, like, you gotta see it. She gotta come back. There's no way.
Yeah, I agree. There's so much left, you know, unresolved about Toki's character that I think we have to see. So I told Jay that we're gonna, you know, keep the stream. I usually stream for about 1.5 hours to 2 hours, and he's been very kind to stay for definitely longer than an hour. We've got about like 10-15 minutes left. So if there's any other questions that you guys wanted to ask before we wrap this up, you know, to people in the chat, you know, now's your time to ask away. So I'll catch up on some of the other, I think there was one other super chat that I missed, from Sean Seppin. Thanks for the super chat. Speaking of unknown fighters, do you think the Elder Star, with presumably the Shodai Kitetsu, ranks amongst the top swordsmen already established? That's an interesting point about the Shodai Kitetsu though. I didn't know that was a popular idea that he's got the Shodai Kitetsu. I wasn't aware of that one. But I didn't, what did you say? Neither were you weren't aware that that was the speculation?
Yep, neither did I didn't know. Yeah.
I thought, because I was always thinking that Zoro might get the Shodai Kitetsu. Although, maybe he could get it after finding the Elder Star if that's the popular, like, if that's something that he has.
Well, here's the interesting thing about that. I don't see him ever parting with Wado Ichimonji. I think if we're talking about Black Blades, that's the one that has to be the first one. Mm-hmm. That's the one that is emotionally tied to him. It's the one he's had since the very beginning. It's been through all the battles that, seems to be a criteria for a Black Blade is a lot of battles with the user. So you'd like to think Wado would be the one. So, okay, we're not losing Wado. We just got Enma, right? And then you have, what's his other sword? It's not Yubashiri, is it? Am I tripping?
No, he's got the other Kitetsu.
It's a Kitetsu.
Yeah.
Nidai Kitetsu,
yeah.
Right? Shows, and this just goes to show I really study Zoro swords a lot. Shame on me. But then there's also the other Kitetsu that Luffy had, right? That he gave back to, God, what's his name now?
Tenguyama?
But the Tengu.
Yeah.
Tenguyama. Yeah, sorry. Tenguyama. People think Zoro will get that sword as well. So will he part with Yubashiri? I mean, well, no, not Yubashiri. Nidai Kitetsu, is he going to part with Enma, which he just got, or is he going to get rid of Wado Ichimonji? I just don't see any room for Zoro to get any swords. I think the whole... one of them has to break, and I would be devastated if Wado breaks. I mean, that would be terrifying. It's like Koina breaking before his eyes. I can't see that happening. Would he give Enma back? I mean, after the training arc with Enma, what's the whole point of the whole, getting used to it? it being the thing that'll push you over the edge, and then Nidai. I mean, you're just trading Nidai for another Kitetsu. Is he just upgrading Kitetsu's then? Nah.
That's actually where I was going with that. So I think I think the one that Luffy has must be the Nidai. He's got the Sundai. I think Zoro's got the Sundai.
He's got
the one that Luffy returned must have been the Nidai. And then so I was thinking that I agree with you. I think by the end of the series, Zoro will keep the Wano Ichimonji. That will be his sword, and that will be his black blade as well. He will have, that will be his black blade. I was thinking that maybe he could trade in the Sundai for the Nidai at this point, and then maybe if someone else has the Shodai, maybe he does get the top, because that's what they say about the swords, right? That the Sundai is like the weakest of the three, because with each generation, like the mastery of like the swordsmanship sort of I guess decreased with time, and it's the Shodai that's the most like powerful of the three. So I think I'd like it if Zoro could get like that strongest one by the end of the series.
That's really interesting. I did not know that. I didn't know that with each generation they're actually higher grade. I mean, again, I guess I should study up on my swords. But that's interesting then. If that's the case, I could see that happening. I would be on board with that being placement, because then if whoever has the Shodai is, are they zooming the Gandhi Gorosei, the bald Gorosei is the one with the Shodai?
Gandhi.
I
like the name.
The nickname in the community. Everyone knows him as Gandhi.
Oh, really? I did not know. Okay.
Yes, if he's the one who has it, that would be interesting, because everyone believes they're going to fight the girls.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. That's funny. We've got another super chat as well. Mr. Nimbus says, both of you make me love One Piece even more. JD's heat was clear, honest passion, and a guaranteed laugh. Defo hyped me to read more Sanji. There we go. Our agenda has been completed. Caribou for Nakama. So I don't know if Caribou for Nakama, is that your agenda?
It's a side agenda. I wouldn't call it an official one, but I think it might get stronger now that he's back. We'll see. It might get stronger. Well,
yeah. I mean, thanks for the super chat, and I do I 100% agree. Jay's content, your content is super fun. I love, watching you gives me so much joy as well. It's definitely like a really very entertaining, very fun content that you make. So to everyone, if you don't already follow Jay, make sure to go check out his channel. I've linked his channel in the description, so make sure to follow, make sure to subscribe, make sure to go check out his videos. And you're just a natural entertainer, I have to say. So much, and there's a lot of joy speaking with you today. I have to say that like I said, I was surprised that you're a lot more rational than the epithet suggests.
Yes, that's something that I have to fight, because it's the nature of when a lot of your content has been centered around your knee-jerk reactions. I'm a very eccentric human being, so it's easy for me to jump off the rails when I have to answer questions and be constructive. It's easy for me to settle down and think, but when I don't have to settle down, that's where I'm just all over the place. So there's good and bad with it, right?
No, but it's great.
Sometimes people hate it.
No, but I mean, I think it's super fun, so I love it. And so we've got. Oh, so Chin, hey Chin, so I don't know if you realize this, Jay, but I noticed just as I was about to come on stream that our stream actually clashed with Morge's stream. So Morge apparently does, so according to Chin, Morge always streams at this time, so it's my bad setting these times, but it's so hard with the time difference. I live like on the other side of the world, so when I think when I was talking to Jay as well, I was like trying to tell him like, okay, so 16th your time, but I didn't specify like 16th your time, so he was like, oh wait, so is that like 15th for me? I'm like, no, like 16th your time, 17th for me, and I have to like specify that now whenever we do like these collabs, because these time differences are difficult. So I'm sorry to everyone who's coming in now after Morge's stream, and I hope you had fun there as well, and I hope you were able to stick around for some of this as well. So we'll answer some of these other questions. Aaron C asked, do you think Caesar Clown joining the Straw Hat still has a chance of happening? I think he fits perfectly in my opinion. Logia plus a scientist and a chance to redeem himself. I don't know so much about him redeeming himself, in my opinion. I don't. I think I think it would be fun to have him on board. I think it'd be fun to have like Gastino, you know, aboard the ship if it wasn't for like the history of him as like Caesar. But we'll have to see whether whether a backstory could redeem the character, because, you know, if anyone could do it, then I guess it's Oda. But I'm just a bit on the fence with that one. And also, I guess as a scientist, it would be cool, I guess, to have like, it would still technically be different because, you know, it's a scientist, not a doctor. And so there is still a difference in terms of role. But yeah, I don't know about that one.
I don't think he needs, I think it would kind of, I mean, you can see him being kind of redeemed, but I don't really think I want it. I think I like the fact that he's a little evil because it adds to his humor. He tries to act like a good guy all the time, but he's actually just a scumbag. But he's a lovable scumbag. I'd rather him be a lovable scumbag outside of the Straw Hats instead of being inside of the Straw Hats, because then, you know, it's never going to amount to anything, right? So I would just, unless he's being held hostage, I don't think there's no reason for him to be part of the Straw Hats. Just keep him. Gangster Gastino is one of the funniest things we got going. So I want to keep him there.
I agree. All right. And we've got so Irvin says we need that Jay Blackbeard laugh, and we're gonna save that to the end. Maybe we'll end with like a Blackbeard laugh face off between we'll go with a laugh off. At the end. I think you'll win. You'll definitely win. But we've got Darnell asking Kid and Law versus Luffy. Bonus round, could Kid, Killer, and Law beat Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji? Oh, I think that's hard to say. Okay, so what's your take on Kid and Law versus Luffy, first of all?
That seems like a tough fight. I feel like this is controversial. Oh no, they brought me in the corner because Kid is supposed to be the rival of Luffy. Law's Devil Fruit is broken. Does Luffy know a way around Law's Devil Fruit? I don't know, but it's like Luffy's extremely durable as well. So it depends. I mean, if you think about Law's Devil Fruit in its entirety, he could technically just chop Luffy up and it's over, and just take his heart and say, hey, you know. And that's the brokenness of Luffy's fruit. Yeah. The difference is we know that Haki interferes with his rune based on the Yonko, so he can't actually do much with them. So if you combine the two together, you can get some cool combo attacks, but I just don't see how they actually put Luffy down. Luffy, I mean, he's taking Thunder Bagwas and Ragnarok's, and he's kind of just got back up. So I just don't see how they overwhelm him. I just don't see it.
I think it would come down to like if like the only way that I could see it happening is if like Kid and Law like really worked on like proper teamwork and like devised like a strategy together on how they could take Luffy down, because, you know, obviously Law's like very smart, and that's why we've got this current matchup between the two of them against Big Mom. And so I guess we'll have to see after what they can do against Big Mom. I think that will answer the question a lot better. Like after we see, you know, whether they're able to take down Big Mom together. And a bonus round, could Kid, Killer, and Law beat Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji? Personally, for me, I'm gonna have to take the Monster Trio. Maybe it's just more from like a personal like, you know, I guess my affinity and like loyalty towards the Straw Hats, but also because Zoro, like I think that's why that Zoro and Killer fight was included in earlier in Wano, when I think Oda really just established that Zoro is obviously stronger than Killer. And for Sanji, this is actually something that didn't come up when we were talking about Sanji, but Sanji is obviously not counted within the supernova, but I don't think that necessarily says anything about his strength, because obviously the supernovas were only, it was just based on their bounties, and Sanji's bounties has always like suffered, or has always, you know, been isn't truly reflective of his, I guess, like ability and of his strength. So I think in terms of that, the way that I've always pictured Sanji in terms of like supernovas and his strength amongst them is that he's always been behind Zoro, like just behind Zoro. So I think I'll take Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji for sure.
I agree, 100% actually.
Okay, nice. Okay, well, was there anything, so I guess before we end with the Blackbeard laugh off, was there any agenda that you wanted to push before we wrap up?
This is my newest and most vocal one, as it's coming the time once Wano ends, we'll start getting some more Shank stuff. I'm sure everyone's aware, I'm a huge Blackbeard fan. I think Blackbeard is going to crush Shanks, and I think a lot of people are going to be upset about it. So just prepare. It's going to happen, and when it does, I'll be enjoying your tears.
Okay, I didn't realize that this was your agenda. I knew that this existed, but I didn't realize it was your agenda okay. I don't know how I feel about that one.
Adopted it, molded by it. Yeah. You know, I wouldn't say completely, but I want to be the flagship bearer.
Right, okay. Oh, I don't know about that one. I don't... I understand where it's coming from. I think like in terms of like what it would do for Luffy's character, his like motivations, I think a lot of that makes sense. I do think though, if we were to happen, like we cannot be robbed from Shanks and Luffy meeting. The way that I would picture it if it was to happen was that Luffy and Shanks still do meet, and maybe it happens like at Elbaf. Like Blackbeard could come in at Elbaf, and then Luffy could like witness Shanks being killed in front of him and like enrage him, like give him like obviously like the first sort of like personal motivation to fight against someone like against, I guess Inu is really the only other like opponent that Luffy currently has where he has like a personal, you know, drive to beat his opponents. For everyone else it's always like on behalf of others, always like, you know, you're a bad guy that I need to defeat, you know, to save people. So I can see that for Blackbeard, but like I said, I want to see the Luffy and Shanks moment. I can see you're coming in with something.
Another one, Bellamy. Luffy had a very personal problem with Bellamy after Mont Blanc Cricket. That's why I think emotional Luffy is also like, when you get like a raw anger, raw emotional Luffy, you see the coolest version. So we see Bellamy, we see the Celestial Dragon Charlos in Shabaodi as well. That's when you see it's personal now type Luffy. So I think with Blackbeard, remember we almost got an exchange if it wasn't for Jinbei. It was already personal between Luffy and Blackbeard. So you imagine Luffy twice as angry that he's taking Ace away, then he takes Shanks away. I mean, in terms of emotional Luffy, that'll be the most emotional we've probably seen him outside of Akainu.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I never really like counted the others as like Luffy's personal opponents. I see what you mean though, like definitely the emotion and the anger is there. I always still saw it as like Luffy still sort of fighting on behalf of others, you know, the fact that he witnessed like Hachan get shot, you know, what happened like with Kami being involved, but I see exactly what you mean about like Luffy just having a very like pure emotional response to it. I think could be amazing, but it just comes back to Shanks and Luffy, that, you know, that interaction, their reunion for me. So I think that's what I was saying. Like if it was to happen, it would happen, you know, after they meet. But I don't know how you feel about that one.
I'm fine with that.
Okay, all right, there we go. So we're back to like J agenda, going back to like rational J. And I think that's the takeaway of this stream. Okay, so...
And this is why people like to call me a fraud. They think, well, oh no, he's all agendas. Wait a minute, he could be rational? Which one is it? Yeah. And then that's where the fraud thing just flies out of course.
Okay, well, I think in that case, I think I'd like to say thank you to you, obviously, Jay. Thanks so much for coming, you know, on board. Thanks for coming to the stream. You know, thanks so much for your time. And actually, this is one question that I should ask. You know, now that you're back, now that you're settled, and now that you're making YouTube videos, is there a bit of a clue that you can tell us about what your next video or what you're working on currently?
I do have a project I'm working on in the future. That will be something that's new to my channel, but I think we'll take it in. I think it's more of like my baby. It's like a giant project. So I'd say stay tuned for that. It's probably going to be my first legitimate series. That's all I'll give away. but definitely it may affect the schedule a little bit, but you'll see what I'm doing as the first 2 videos come out.
Okay, that's very exciting. Okay, guys, you heard it here first. We've got a brand new exciting series coming out on Jay's channel, so make sure to follow Jay, make sure to sub if you haven't already. Like I said, his link is in the description box below, so make sure to check it out. And I also wanted to thank everyone else, you know, coming on to the stream. I know that obviously there was a clash with Mr. Morge, so thank you to everyone who came and showed up regardless. And okay, so I'll start off with the Blackbeard laugh off because I'm gonna say it now, you're infinitely better. So I'll just do my poor, I'll do the poor fraud version, and then you can come in. So I've said it before because I did it before, and someone's told me like, no, like that was someone actually said that was the worst Blackbeard laugh they've ever seen, and that I need to see yours. So
Oh my goodness.
okay, so it was just. Why am I doing this? Zahahahaha.
You gotta get a little raspiness in there. You're missing the raspy.
Zahahahaha.
See, that's not bad. That was better. That was definitely better. Also, if you saw so there's another video outside of mine that people do. Remember the 2 cosplayers that dress like Blackbeard and they both had the devil fruit in their hand?
I must have missed it. No, I've never seen that. No.
You've never seen that?
No.
So if you look at the video of mine that went viral of me laughing like Blackbeard,
Yeah.
in the suggested there should be 2 husky guys laughing like Blackbeard who cosplays as Blackbeard and a con. Your laugh sounded like theirs.
Okay. All right. Did you suggest it as like a this was the fraud version? You've come to the right video for the real Blackbeard laugh.
No, ironically, the way it happened is when I think we were practicing laughs in a random Twitter group chat. This is before anybody even knew me or knew I had a Twitter channel. And it was like, oh yeah, this is my Blackbeard laugh. And I was like, yo, I think I do a pretty good Blackbeard laugh because I've been practicing it as a kid for a long time. Like, as a kid, I used to practice this stuff. Weirdo, I know. And I just sent them the video of me doing it in my car. And everyone was like, what the fuck? It's like, what? What? How can you do that? Like, that is crazy. You need to post that. I'm like, really? Should I? I was like, yeah. So I posted it, and then it just blew up out of nowhere. And all of a sudden, everyone looks at me as, oh, that's the guy that can laugh like Blackbeard. I was like, hey, guys, I can do more than laugh like Blackbeard, you know? Just...
Okay, well, we've hyped it up now. We've hyped it up, so we're gonna see it.
All right, so I do have flat mates from side to side, so I'll try to keep it low, but that's not the loud version. If I do it loud, I'll be able to get more of it. That's the best I can give you guys.
That was so accurate. That was amazing. Because I've watched your video before. I've watched you doing it before, but I have to say that one, even with like the sound, I think that added to it. It sounded so good. You should submit an application, you know, for the live action. Maybe you should ask. I think you should ask to be able to do the laugh for the live action. You know, we should get a petition going
for them, so he doesn't have to do it by himself.
That was amazing.
We'll see. If they set up a petition, I'll sign it.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome.
I mean, I'll sign it for sure. All right, guys, that's the agenda we're gonna push. We're gonna get Jay as the Blackbeard laugh for the live action. We got a lot of people on board as well. Okay, all right. Well, like I said, thank you guys so much. Thank you to everyone, and thank you to Jay as well. So everyone, make sure to go check out his channel. Make sure to keep posted for his exciting new series. And I guess that's it. All right. See you guys next time.